The second deal is a little more complicated, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I ended up actually losing the exclusive to this deal.
Tell
Um,
us where it is. It's not in Brooklyn, right?
no, this is in Queensville, single family, 9118 214 Street. I got the deal by a developer that I work with. Actually in the process in contract with another house he's flipping in Bed-Stuy. We'll go through that one once it closes. But
Which street is the one in Bed-Stuy on?
704 Lexington, the one Jen and Ben is buying.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's same seller. This was during the pandemic. He mentioned like, oh, I'm finishing a house in Queens. And I was like, why not give me the listing? He's like, well, you don't work in Queens. I'm like, well, I'm a listing agent. Mainly it's marketing. And who over there. I have some connections there. So he was like, let me speak to my partner, and he's like, you know what? We'll give you the exclusive. We'll give it a try.
How long
This
is it for?
The exclusive was for 2 months or 3 months. So this was in the mid, like dead pandemic shutdown. I remember going out with Adam, our photographer, and taking pictures and a video. And on our way back, we're crossing through Manhattan, and this is the most silent I've ever and most dead I've ever seen Manhattan.
Yeah.
He actually got out of the car and was shooting pictures of how
How desperate.
empty it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was in the midst of pandemic. We couldn't show physically. Everything was virtually. That's why we took a video. The traction started off a little slow. After 3 weeks, I think that's when Rebney announced like you could do showings, but contactless showings. One
There
person.
was a run on lock boxes in all of
Oh
Brooklyn
yeah,
by a lockbox.
that helped a lot. We had a lockbox set up. But this one I thought was going to be very easy because I felt like we priced it correctly. We started at 629.
It was a good price.
Yeah, we started noticing that everyone was coming in lower, like, oh, the lot is very small, the renovations aren't as high end as we would like. So, we took that into consideration, and then after a month or two, we dropped the price to 595. Then we started getting a lot of traction, like 10 people a week going, a lot of agents contacting me. And it was very vital that I put it on the Queens MLS. If I wouldn't have put it on the Queens MLS, I wouldn't have gotten as much leads. I initially only had it on the Compass site, and Compass syndicates to. They don't syndicate to the MLSs, so
Right.
I had to manually input it on the Queens MLS in order to get the traction we were getting.
Yeah,
But strange
let
enough,
me stop you there because those of us who work in Brooklyn most of the time, I don't think we're aware of that. That
we don't use MLS in Brooklyn.
we really don't. Like you're using Compass site and then Street Easy, even though that's kind of a bad word at Compass. You are using Street Easy and Zillow, but when you're in the Bronx and when you're in Queens, you're definitely more dependent on the MLS. That's kind
Yeah.
of a good little tip. Well, also, can you discuss, because I think this was kind of a trend during the pandemic, and I have a feeling it's going to be a trend going forward, but can you discuss the difference in interest level with the price change?
Yeah, we definitely got a lot more interest, but as we noticed, especially in Brooklyn, we were getting a lot of lowball offers.
Hmm.
Everyone was looking for a deal. We had gotten a couple 560, 550, even 540 offers. Obviously, the seller wasn't willing to take that yet. Um, and it got to a point where we were showing and showing, and he felt like it was an issue on my end. Like, you must be doing something wrong where we're not getting what we want. And the guy next door had just listed his property for a ridiculous amount, the same exact property, but he wanted like 750. I'm like, he can list whatever price he wants. He's not going to get that.
Right.
So he
Kind of made
so,
you look bad though that somebody's out there
exactly.
asking for that.
So a mixture of that and him feeling like you're showing a lot, but we're not getting any offers. Any solid offers. Like we're my partner wants to use another agent at this point. You're exclusive
How
is
far
coming.
in was that? That was a couple months of.
Yeah, that was about 3 months already, a little
It's
over
weird
three
because
months.
those are not a normal 3 months, because those are 3 months in the height of the pandemic while rules were changing about how to show and stuff.
Right.
Almost like,
Yeah, but what was most frustrating is that we were showing it so much, but we weren't getting any serious bites, you know. So that was kind of frustrating on my end. Luckily, I had a lockbox there where I could just send agents over to show their clients, so I didn't have to take that trip to Queens as often. But yeah, he ended up calling me and he's like, you know, we're gonna give it to this other lady that we've dealt with in Queens. You know, we think she'll be a better fit because she's located out there.
yeah,
And I was like, do you really think that's gonna make a difference? You know, it's really ultimately on marketing, right? So he's like, no, you know, we need our money, you know, and you're not doing anything for us. So I was like, you know what? Go ahead, give it to her. You know, you're gonna have it's gonna take another 7 to 10 days to get the marketing either way. So he's like, all right, just pull the listing. So I pulled the listing and
you pulled the listing off the MLS, or you pulled it off Compass as well?
both off the MLS and on Compass. About 10 days after I pulled the listing, I get a call. Actually, about 7 days. This agent that he had showed the house like 3 times prior to several of his buyers. He's like, "Hey, is the house still available? Like, I see it was pulled off the MLS." I'm like, "Yeah, you can still show it, you know." So he went and he showed it, and he calls me back the following day, like, "Hey, we have a." He told me, "Hey, what's the number? You know, give us the best number, you know, to get the deal done. I don't want to go back and forth." So I call the seller, like, "Hey, I got this agent. I showed it a couple more times. What's the number do I tell him? We're at 595 now. What gets the deal done?" He's like, "We'll do 580." So I tell the buyer's agent, and he's like, "We have a deal." They send the deal sheet out, and obviously I
They
still get,
offered 580. Was that the number?
yep.
It's cool. So
So
that's good. It's kind of like
it,
no BS on both sides, like really direct.
right, right. I prefer that approach, anyways, and I do
Yeah.
that when I submit offers as well. Like, if you're negotiable, tell me what the bottom is, and we'll meet you there. You know. Um, but yeah, that's we kind of feel like I got lucky a little bit on that end too, because like the exclusive was expired already, but
I mean,
we
it's
were able to.
interesting reverse psychology too, because I think maybe because it was pulled off the market, it kind of got more attention. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he'd been showing it, so he was watching it. So then he was,
Right. Yeah, I
"Let's see how
agree.
this place went. Let me see what happened." And then he feels like, oh, I can get in. In some ways, it kind of made it more valuable.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. It definitely helped a little bit in that sense, but I was glad we were able to get it done. And you know, it was in the last minute, but it
Yeah, it's totally a
was like a hail
24 hour
mary.
day. Yeah, I remember you were nervous about it. Like you felt like that you were going to lose it at the tail end there, and then you did lose the exclusive,
Yeah.
but it worked out well. What does the
We
seller think now? Because you've done what, 2 deals with him?
Yeah, no, he's like, I told him, I was like, hey, you know, we finally came through again in the fourth quarter. He's like, yeah, man, it just gets me nervous. Don't, you know, like
Yeah,
I
don't
hate
make
that
me
that
sweat
happens
like
that much.
that.
I'm like, hey, as long as it's getting done.
Rodgers does this better than anybody. End zone, Cobb, touchdown! Unbelievable!
No, this year, 2020, getting it done by hook or by crook is getting it done.
Yeah,
It's impressive. Now
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you've had an awesome year.
Yeah, you have to be thankful because a lot of listings aren't moving. You know, especially in the Brooklyn area.
That's what I was asking you about price again before, because I mean that's kind of my point, is that it seems to me that if you're priced high, you kind of get nothing right now. Like you have
Yeah,
to be priced right, and then
you
you
have to
also
be
have to offer something like either backyard, or the washer and dryer and unit, or some combination of like kind of the new normal.
right,
You
right.
have to have some safety attached to it. What do you think are the keys to getting something sold right now?
I think you have to price right below market value.
Hmm.
Um, and it's kind of hard to determine what market value is now with everything that's going on. And there's
But in all
there's still
honesty, that's what you're very good at. I think when you make CMAs and you do comps for people, you're quite knowledgeable. Like you have a lot of experience, and I think that's part of what people like when they're first meeting you, is they're going, oh, he knows prices. He really knows where that spot is just under market. He's not, BSing us or just
Yeah,
trying
and
to
I
sell us
think
sold.
that's super important right now, because anything that's priced at market value, people are just like looking over it. It's not people. Everyone wants a deal right now. Everyone wants a Corona deal.
No
So
doubt.
you have to entice these buyers, the few ones that are out there. But there are buyers out there, because the buyers that are smarter, they know they can get a deal done right now.
Who actually bought it? The people who came in, were they New Yorkers who were upgrading? Did they already live here?
I don't really know, because I didn't represent the buyer, but it seemed like it was a family from Queens. I
Yeah.
think they were renting, and they were buying at this
Because I
point.
feel like that's part of the people who want that deal. They want the Corona deal because they want to take what they have and just upgrade it.
Right,
You know what I mean? If you're going to live here, why not live better along
right,
the way? So I
exactly.
think that's definitely a big clientele. I mean, if you listen to the media, New York's dying and on fire, but then in all reality, I think we're just in a cycle.
Yeah, New York bounces back. There's no city like it. So
Historically, it always has. There's no reason to think it's not doing that again.
right, exactly.
Also, I mean, it looks like if the vaccine starts to take in the middle of 2021, we might have, the roaring 20s all over again, exactly like
Right.
last pandemic and market cycle. We might be
Yep.
repeating the trend exactly to the T. So like we'll find out.
Yeah.
So I guess like as far as what you learned, I think pricing is a lot of it. Like just in what else did
Yeah.
you persevere?
Pricing, and the Queens market's definitely a different market than Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So that was a learning curve for me, and luckily I've had some very experienced Queens agents that were considering the property for their clients and kind of educating me, like, this is why it shouldn't be priced this way. The lot is very small. Some of the renovations weren't up to par of what they expect over there. So little things like
What were
that.
some of the details of the renovations? Like what particular pieces?
They kind of, like those old wood panels, like they left that on the steps instead of changing that out, like on the railing, like little minor things that they skimped out on.
I see that every
That
so often.
particular buyers would, point that out. So it was little things.
From a Compass marketing perspective, it seems to me like some of the reason you got in that conversation was by using Coming Soon, though. Like that's like, how did you first get in conversations with those agents? How are they contacting you?
No, those agents, they were contacting me once I put it on the MLS
Those
in
with
Queens.
MLS. Okay.
That was one thing I learned too, is like you need to put it through the MLS in Queens. You can't have it just on Street Easy, because on Queens is a whole different market. They don't
Yeah.
use
People are not using Street Easy there. It's really interesting.
right.
Street Easy seems more like most of Manhattan and then Brooklyn.
Yeah. Yep.
But then as
And
you
even some parts of Jersey, like Jersey City, Hoboken,
yeah,
is using. Yep.
interesting. Even Jersey.